In this video, we're going to be discussing the difference between burnout versus stress. So we'll do a quick review of what burnout and stress are, and then go into a more thorough explanation about the differences between the two. Burnout is not the same as too much stress. Stress involves too much pressure, too much demand of you physically and mentally. However, when people are stressed, you still imagine that if you can just get a little bit more rest or everything under control, that you'll feel better. But what is stress exactly? Stress is any type of change that causes physical, emotional, or psychological strain. Stress is your body's response to anything that requires attention or action. Feeling stressed but still having your needs met is okay. When managed well, stress can even feel like excitement. Burnout, on the other hand, is about not enough. So if stress is too much, burnout is not enough. Being burned out means feeling empty and mentally exhausted, lacking motivation, way beyond the point of caring anymore. We start to lose interest in the things that normally bring us joy. People experiencing burnout often feel hopeless about change. If excessive stress feels like you're drowning in responsibilities, burnout is a sense of being all dried up. While somebody is usually aware of being under a lot of stress, people often don't notice burnout when it happens. Many of us assume that occupational burnout is caused solely by overwork. Common wisdom is to think that you can recover from burnout by just working fewer hours or taking a few days off. But unfortunately, how people experience their workload has a stronger influence on burnout than the actual hours worked. Because you can often experience symptoms of burnout without noticing, I want you to be aware of 3 dimensions of burnout. The first one is the feelings of depletion or exhaustion. The second is you might experience distance from your job, negativism or cynicism to your job. And the third is reduced professional efficacy. I want to highlight some important differences between stress and burnout. When you're experiencing a lot of stress, this can often be characterized by over-engagement. On the flip side, burnout is often characterized by disengagement. This is something to take note of if you're noticing this within yourself or others on your team. The other point that I want to highlight is the impact that stress has on you versus burnout. So when you're experiencing a lot of chronic stress, there is more of a physical impact. On the other side, with burnout, the primary damage is emotional. So a lot of what you experience, a lot of the symptoms and a lot of the damage and or harm ends up being through emotional experiences. Pause this video to read through the table and learn about the other differences too. It's really easy to get confused about burnout being your fault. But burnout is not about an individual who can't keep up. It is not a moral failure either. For too long, we've been focused on providing coping tools for individuals rather than exploring and evaluating the environments that we live and work in. Organizations, companies, employers, we're all responsible for the well-being of employees in the workplace. Managing and preventing employee burnout is essential for engaging and retaining top talent, keeping our businesses alive and our communities thriving. Existing in systems that make us feel like we're the problem or that we shouldn't exist contributes to burnout as well. Burnout is systemic, and that means it requires systemic solutions. People are not a problem to be solved. We are not something to be fixed. The problems are the systems that are toxic, abusive, and exploitative by design. Burnout is also connected to other issues that are known to plague the hospitality industry. These include addiction, substance use, overwork, lack of sleep, and more. These are not a flex or badge of honor anymore. One of the best ways to address burnout is to learn about prevention. So what specifically leads to burnout? Well, there are top 5 factors that can cause burnout in the workplace. Number 1 is unfair treatment at work. Number 2, unmanageable workload. Number 3, a lack of role clarity, making sure that everyone knows their specific roles and responsibilities. Number 4, lack of communication and support from superiors, leaders, managers. And number 5, unreasonable time pressure. So making sure that everyone has enough time to finish what's expected of them. Burnout is very much influenced by manager behavior. Managers, we have a responsibility to protect our teams against unfair treatment in the workplace. We have a responsibility to communicate clearly and provide support, in addition to managers being advocates and allies to the entire team. As I mentioned in the last video, managers, we have much more influence and impact than we realize. And ineffective managers can often become the cause of burnout rather than the cure. They treat employees unfairly, they burden employees with impossible expectations, and they provide little support to help employees achieve them. At the very least, bad managers don't help their employees overcome these paralyzing barriers. But it's not always the manager's fault. Many organizations do not supply their leaders with the necessary management training and support to be great at their jobs. And this, again, can cause burnout for the managers themselves, creating their own sense of unreasonable expectations and a perceived lack of support. In this way, burnout can easily cascade throughout an entire business. So let's focus on burnout prevention. What are some priorities that leaders and managers can address to prevent burnout? Well, the first is ensure employees feel supported by practicing active listening. Number 2, encourage teamwork and connection. Number 3, foster psychological safety so that everyone's opinions are heard and count. Number 4, demonstrate how their employees' contributions make a difference to create meaning and purpose in the workplace. And number 5 is focus on feedback and development that is strengths-based. In this video, we covered stress and burnout, what they are, how to prevent them, and how to manage them in the workplace. If you want to learn more and dive deeper into these topics, check out the CNECTed course by Not 9 to 5. If you want to learn more about substance use, tune in to the next video.